Well, hello and welcome to this episode of the Terri Cole Show. I'm so excited that you are here. I want to start this episode with a question. Are you ever tempted to look in your partner's phone? Or if you're dating someone, are you ever tempted to sort of flip through their phone, maybe when they're in their shower or something like that? Do you feel threatened if your person wants to go out with the people that they work with for a drink, but you're not invited? I mean, both of those things indicate jealousy. And jealousy, to a degree, is normal unless it's extreme. So, in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the differences between regular, normal jealousy and extreme jealousy. Help you locate sort of the origin of your own jealous streak and give you a few questions that you can ask yourself to understand better why you relate this way or why you feel threatened in your relationships. Because jealousy is really damaging. So it's not something that we want to just let go wild because it's really damaging in our relationships. So if you are new to my channel, introduce yourself, say hello in the comments below because we are a friendly bunch. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. If you don't know me, my name is Terri Cole, and I am the author of Boundary Boss, the essential guide to talk true, be seen, and finally live free, that you can get right now at boundarybossbook.com or anywhere books are sold. So I wanted to feature, I always read your comments, and so in every episode I've been trying to feature your comments just to say thank you. So I'm shouting out to Sarah Lang, and she put a comment under the episode 3 Mental Strategies for Success. And her comment was, thank you again for another wonderful and helpful video. I absolutely need every single word you said. Thank you for helping me to build self-confidence. Sometimes we forget about ourselves, and without noticing, we end up harming ourselves emotionally by thinking that certain things are for others more capable than us in many ways. I guess this makes part of what you demonstrate what you talked about with self-sabotage. Much love and positive energy goes your way. Well, thank you so much for being in my crew, Sarah. We appreciate you. And before I get started with the content of today's video, make sure that all of you are subscribed and that you hit the little bell, and that if you like this episode, please hit the little thumbs up thing so that other people can find this work, and hopefully together we will have a really positive ripple effect in the world. So let's talk about jealousy, shall we? Certain kinds of jealousy are pretty normal. You might feel jealous if someone has something that you want, right? You might want it for yourself and feel jealous that they have it. You might feel threatened in your relationship. You might be jealous of a sibling who is better at something than you, or if you feel like they were favored within the family system. But in this video, I'm really talking about, in this episode of the Terri Cole Show, I'm really talking about jealousy within romantic relationships because it is so detrimental. And I get so many emails, people writing in either saying that their partner is extremely jealous or that they are extremely jealous. And I think we need to really break down what is run-of-the-mill, regular, kind of healthy or normal jealousy and what isn't. So extreme jealousy is when there is a pathological element to extreme jealousy. So you have to think to yourself, how often are you really plagued by jealous thoughts and feelings, right? Is it something that you can control? Or is it something that these thoughts come and they're literally intruding into your mind and into your life, as opposed to you sort of actively and consciously thinking those thoughts? Because that is more of it's more ruminating if it's intrusive. And there's a compulsive element to that where the disconnect happens, I think, in relationships is that I would have a lot of times have my clients say, I don't think my partner is going to cheat. I don't think they're like that. But I can't help grilling them about the women in their office. And I sneak and look at their phone when they're in the shower. And I just have this terrible feeling, this horrible dread. It's like, I need to find out if my partner, one of my clients said, my partner mentioned this woman he works with. And I went on the internet to find her, and they were friends on Facebook, and I went all the way back in her history. Like, she's like, I fell into like a hole for 4 hours of stalking, cyber stalking someone who my husband just mentioned to me in passing and said that he thought that he was glad she was on his team because she was smart, or whatever the comment was. And so the question is, do you think that that is about her partner, or is that about her? Well, obviously in our therapeutic sessions, in our process, we were able to get to what was happening for her. Why was she feeling that way? So now I want you to think about it in your own life. Do you have regular jealousy, or do you have extreme jealousy? Extreme jealousy also looks like you feel like your partner is looking at every other person in a lustful way, or your partner is accusing you of cheating on them, or of like flirting with the person who just sold you, a ticket to get on the train. You know what I mean? Bringing up situations from the past, being jealous. I had a situation with a client who was going back to grad school, and she was married for decades at this point, and her husband was threatened by the people she was going to meet at grad school, threatened by any professors that she mentioned if they were male. And you're like, okay, so that can't be about my client, because she'd never been unfaithful in their entire 30-year relationship. So it wasn't about that. Clearly, it was about her husband feeling not good enough, feeling insecure, not feeling something. So I want you to think about it in your own life. Do you think that the level of jealousy that you've experienced is sort of pathological? Is it extreme? Or is it a regular level, like a feeling jealous, but not really acting out on it? Because we need to get to what is real. So there are situations, and I think this is a really important distinction that we can make. There are situations that actually threaten a relationship. That can create real jealousy. So if your partner creates a very loving and consistent relationship with another woman, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, if they're texting all the time and they say to you, we're just friends, but it feels disrespectful to you, that is something that can straight up threaten the relationship. And that's something that I think needs to be talked about. There has to be rules of engagement. And I know in today's society, there are so many agreements that people have relationship-wise. So it's not to say that they all need to be monogamous agreements. But if you have a monogamous agreement, then there's got to be rules of engagement within that. If what your partner is doing, or what you're doing, is making your partner feel disrespected or threatened. Now that's a real situation where it's more pathological is if your partner is imagining that you're flirting with the ticket taker, right? Is implying that you are doing that, whether you're going into a store or anywhere else. Making snide remarks, making you feel defensive, making you feel like you must defend yourself against what they're saying. And this, if it is extreme, it really is also a form of emotional and verbal abuse. I mean, it actually is. Because it's ridiculous if you're dealing with someone who is being extremely jealous, but there are not real threats to the relationship. Because you know what is a real threat to the friggin' relationship? Extreme jealousy. That is a real threat to the relationship, because it can wear down and scratch away the foundation of even a really solid relationship, because no relationship is solid enough to withstand that forever and ever. You just can't, because it's too exhausting. I mean, how long are you willing to have the same round robin argument or conversation? So it was important that we make the distinction between something that might legitimately threaten the relationship and something that is only happening in one person's mind. Because how can there be any trust in a relationship if your partner is constantly, or you are constantly, accusing the other of having thoughts of wanting to be with someone else or having a plan to be with someone else. That doesn't make sense, right? There is no trust in that, because literally the person is saying, you were flirting with that person who just sold us the tickets. And in a healthy relationship, you would say, actually, I wasn't. And they would believe you. In an unhealthy relationship, they assume the worst of you, right? They think you're lying. Like, no, you were, I saw you. So this really, we're talking about quality of trust in the relationship, which is really incredibly important. So what are the things that can create this in us? So first thing we're going to do, and I created a downloaded guide for you, like questions and stuff, so you can get that when you're done watching this. So first of all, we have to look at, is it possible that you have a modeled behavior, that there is a downloaded jealousy blueprint? I mean, it's definitely possible. It's definitely a fact that whether your parental impactors, whoever they were, the adults in your life, if they didn't act jealous at all, that's one model of behavior. If they acted extremely jealous, that's another. And if it was somewhere in the middle, that's another. But I'll give you some questions that you can answer that will give you some insight into why do you have the particular paradigm in your unconscious mind around jealousy the way that you do. Because we all do. It's like I've always prided myself on really not being a jealous person, feeling like I was pretty secure. And yet I've definitely have moments of flashes of jealousy, or feel if someone is like too familiar with Vic, or is being like too cozy, even if though I know he does not have an interest in them, it hits something ego-wise for me, where it makes me want to sort of be territorial and be like, who are you? I will not go with that. But if it's something that actually bothers me, I will say something to Vic about it. Well, that's only happened in 25 years. I would say maybe twice. So, but I would go to him first rather than make a scene or imply something, because I do trust him. And I can go to him because I trust him emotionally. He won't shame, humiliate, or embarrass me. If I come to him and say, hey, I was feeling a little uncomfortable with this interaction with so-and-so. It could be me. I know you're not doing anything, but I just wanted to share it with you. Can you be mindful of that, or whatever? So that he is mindful of that. And just him knowing would make me feel better. But, I've worked long and hard to have a healthy marriage where I can do that, So, and in my own downloaded jealousy blueprint was that there wasn't much display of jealousy with my parents, but one of my parents did step out on the other and have an affair, and they did get a divorce. So there is something underlying in there that maybe there should have been a little more jealousy. Who knows? So I'm going to give you some questions that you can answer so you can get a more clear snapshot of your own downloaded jealousy blueprint, because a lot of times it's modeled behavior. We've really noticed it, and you have different cultural aspects of jealousy. Think about different cultures around the world where it's like the best compliment to have a jealous partner. It means they love you. It doesn't mean that to me personally, but I'm not from one of those cultures. So there's lots of reasons why jealousy has become very popularized, and that we see it in movies all the time, on soap operas all the time, obviously. But it's because it's out there and it's happening. But from a psychotherapeutic point of view, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page of how incredibly damaging and caustic perpetual extreme jealousy is in any relationship. And I just don't think that there's any relationship that can survive it forever. I don't think so. Another thing, moving on to the next thing for you to be mindful of, if you find that your jealousy comes out because you're stalking an ex, let's say, I want you to get off social media. Block them on social media for yourself. Because it's very easy to fall into a hole, like my client did, of trying to find information about what are they doing now, and who are they with now, and what is happening now. And it is, A, it's beneath you. B, it's crazy making. C, it doesn't really help the situation. It literally just keeps that wound, especially if it's a relationship that's over. It just keeps that wound going, because it's like we get a little bit of information and that reinforces our desire to continue stalking. But then you're wasting your life sort of filling in the blanks that you can't accurately fill in because you don't know. And I think the last thing is we have to get really clear about our relationship to ourselves. Where is your self-esteem at? If you feel a lot of jealousy, do you think you're not worthy of someone being madly and deeply in love with you? Do you think that those other people are jealous? Are you really projecting something by thinking that your partner is looking at them even though you don't have any evidence? Right? Because we do have to look for evidence. If you're with someone who has been unfaithful in the past and you're in a monogamous relationship, of course that's going to kick up your jealousy and fear of abandonment and fear that the person's going to leave you and cheat on you again. I mean, that makes sense. So that is a wound that, if a relationship is going to survive, has to really be looked at and healed. But I think that there's something about looking at ourselves and looking at our own, if you're the one who's jealous, looking at your own self-worth. Do you think you're valuable? Do you deeply love yourself? Do you celebrate yourself? Because you're amazing, and I hope that you are celebrating yourself. But if you're the person who's experiencing chronic, extreme jealousy, and we're really looking at how intense are the feelings of jealousy, and is it something like, how often does it happen? Is this something that is pervasive? Right? And let's not confuse, jealousy and envy are not exactly the same thing. So right now we're really just focusing on jealousy, and I'll do another episode on the difference between jealousy and envy. But I just wanted to answer this question because it has come in so many times, that once and for all, let's talk about chronic extreme jealousy as opposed to sort of regular human jealousy, because we are all fallible humans for sure. So I would love to hear from you. What did you discover when you filled out all the questions that I gave you in your downloadable guide? You know where to find me. I'm always hanging out on Instagram. If you watch the show, you can actually put it in your stories and I'll repost it. I love being in dialogue with all of you around all of these topics because you guys are it for me. So I want to say thank you for spending so much time with me. And as always, take care of you.